because people make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Perfection doesn't exist. You always have to go through struggles and some roadblocks in your life. But those roadblocks are extremely important for you to grow and learn from your mistakes. As someone who was a high-risk youth, coming from divorced parents, coming from intergenerational trauma, I never had friends. I was bullied. That put me into a very bad path. Drinking, and there was violence and shootings. That scared my life. I got beaten up really, really bad. Put it in the hospital multiple times. Suicidal thoughts. The struggle, man. Yeah. Witnessing that scene was a wake-up call for me. And having a bullet that would cross your chest, I don't want to do this. I have to pivot. I don't want to die. This program is not about starting a business. This program is using the entrepreneurial lens to think as an entrepreneur so you can understand what your values are, what your dreams are, and what do you want to do for the rest of your life. The challenges and the struggles that people go through is a gateway to success. And understanding the importance of mental health is extremely important.
Well, welcome back, Wellness Ninjas, to another episode of the Wellness Dojo Podcast. I'm your host, Craik, and I'm so excited to have my man Moose here. He's here from Struggle Is Your Success, really important nonprofit that, I mean, you can tell everybody more about it, but you're doing some really great things helping people from diverse and difficult backgrounds develop entrepreneurial and mindset skills. Right. So welcome to the show, first of all.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a great honor to be here. And I'm stoked.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So first of all, can you tell the audience and even myself a little bit more about you and a little bit more about Struggle Is Your Success?
Sure. Yeah. So hello everyone. My name is Moose. My original name is Musap. It comes from named by another prophet in the Islamic industry. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm a two-time entrepreneur, founder of Struggle Is Their Success, and SIYS is an innovative not-for-profit that focuses on youth entrepreneurship for high-risk youth who are incarcerated in the justice system, but also who are struggling on a daily basis, from anxiety to depression to lack of confidence, lack of sense of belonging. And we serve all youth and the BIPOC community. So the BIPOC community is for Black, Indigenous people of color, and the visible minority community. And just giving them a second chance for them to unearth their potential and give them a second chance where they can realize that they have an opportunity for them to grow in the entrepreneurial lens, and looking at the entrepreneurial lens from a holistic view. You don't have to start a business, but you can think like an entrepreneur and turn the entrepreneurial mindset into a career shift that you want to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, that idea of the second chance is something that's really powerful, I think. Why do you think a second chance is so important for people?
I think it's extremely important because people make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We struggle every single day. People struggle every single day. And we live in a society that, we have to live this perfection life. And life cannot be perfect. It does not exist. Perfection doesn't exist. To me, you always have to go through struggles and some roadblocks in your life. But those roadblocks are extremely important for you to grow and learn from your mistakes. And a second chance is an opportunity for you to accept who you are, but also it's not the end of the world. Just because I don't know how to say, just because you're on a bad path, or you divorced, or your companies went bankrupt, or you were in jail, or you were anything. You are the master of your own craft. You are the decision maker of your life. Nobody has control over your life. So you should give yourself a second chance. You just need to knock on the right door and talk to the right people. And for me, as someone who was a high-risk youth, coming from divorced parents, coming from intergenerational trauma, and was on a bad path, I think that I made a decision that I don't want to be on this path, and I'll give myself a second chance. And I think God has given me a second chance and given me the obligation to serve my community, but also to serve myself, to turn my bad path into the reality that I'm living right now. So
yeah, it's beautiful, and so many different things that I could touch in on with that. But you mentioned your path. I'm curious, are you open to sharing some of that, of like that path that you were on and kind of how you pivoted from that?
Yeah. Like my path was really rough. Like I grew up in a household, first generation Canadian. My parents immigrated to Canada in early 80s. That's that. But also, I come from a family that has a lot of trauma, intergenerational trauma through my father. But it's just not myself. It's like it goes for generations in the past. But I never had friends. I was bullied. At the same time, I never had the opportunity to play outside and have a normal life. So I had to run away from that life and just be my own. And when I decided to become my own, I was on a bad path in the music industry, right? Working in the music industry as a promoter for events, and that put me into a very bad path, where people were drinking and there was violence and shootings. That scared my life.
Yeah.
That scared my life. And then I got beaten up really, really bad. Put it in the hospital multiple times. Suicidal thoughts. The struggle, man. Yeah. Poverty. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's like you said, there's no perfect path, right? And everybody has their like crosses to bear, kind of, so to speak. How did you take that? Like that, I can only imagine how difficult some of those situations must have been. Was there like a pivotal moment where you decided this isn't for me? I need to turn things around. Like you mentioned, you're in the hospitalized multiple times. Was there a specific time?
Yeah, I think witnessing a shooting and witnessing an acquaintance of mine who got shot 9 times in the head, witnessing that scene was a wake-up call for me. And having a bullet that would cross your chest was a wake-up call for me. Like, I don't want to do this. I have to pivot. Like, I have to pivot. I don't want to die. And then for me, when that wake up call was brought to me, I left the country completely. I left the country and I went back to Sudan. So I'm from Sudan. And then I have deep roots to Egypt. And that's where kind of like the growth of SIYS was created. Because I looked at people back home in Africa, third world country, minimal resources, not a lot of training, people living in poverty. The youth there were starting businesses with minimal resources, with less capital, and they were extremely happy. And they were willing to do whatever it takes just to survive and make ends meet. They would make wallets from leaves. They would cut the leaves and then make wallets out of that and sell it. I looked at myself that I'm a privileged Canadian. What am I doing? So yeah, I think that was the growth, and then that's where I founded SIYS. But no, yeah, SIYS wasn't Struggle is Your Success wasn't just founded in Africa. It was also founded on the basketball court, because I was playing basketball and I shot a 3-pointer and I said struggle is my success, and I ran with it, and then a friend of mine told me to change the mind to your, and now here we are.
Yeah. I love that, man.
Yeah,
it's such a beautiful origin story for Struggle is Your Success, and how I just love how deeply rooted your story is in how that came to be as well.
Right.
It wasn't just this idea, but it was this vision, it sounds like, that formed through your own struggles, and then through kind of having this perspective shift when you traveled back home and seeing these things. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, and a second chance is important, and I believe that. I believe that. I breathe it. I live it every single day, and we should not be ashamed of our mistakes. We shouldn't. I think people struggle to be vulnerable. Not everyone can be vulnerable, but for the audience that who are listening to this podcast, I think you need to be vulnerable with yourself and sit down with yourself. You don't have to be vulnerable to the community if you don't want to share. That's absolutely fine. But be vulnerable with yourself and identify why these mistakes are happening. And use those mistakes as a guiding light for you to change.
Yeah, that's when you were talking before about Struggle is Your Success as well. I always, in my mind, growing up through martial arts and that type of thing, like, I always had this like struggle is your strength. There's always, and it's very closely related to that idea of you can take these, whether you want to call them mistakes or struggles or whatever it is, you can take those things and you can create something from it, but it's a choice, right? You have to make that decision to say, yes, this is the current situation, or this is the experience. These are the experiences that I have had. These are the struggles. These are the mistakes. What do I do with it, right? Does it send me down this path, or do I take it and use these rocks these heavy rocks that I'm carrying, and do I build something with it? And I've seen it in action of you doing that with people and helping them to create that, to say, like, here's my rocks, how do I build something out of this?
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Struggle is your strength, and struggle is your success. And these pains will get you where you want to be. A lot of the youth ask me, they're like, do you have any struggles? Like, you built this organization, you're helping us, why us? And are you struggling? I was like, I'm struggling every goddamn day, right? Yeah, struggling to be a husband, perfect husband, Nah, it's hard, man.
Yeah.
But I'm not shy about it.
Yeah.
I'm not shy about it because I know that I can do better. And I know that I have the power to change. I have the power to learn. I have the power to learn parenting, learn how to be a perfect husband, learn how to be a father, learn how to avoid bad paths, bad habits, overeating, weight, like all that stuff. So it's just, Denzel Washington said it the best. He said, without consistency, you will never finish. Right? So consistency is a very huge part of your life. I'm telling you from my own experience, I don't think it's without consistency you will never finish. With consistency, you'll have the doors open to whatever you want. So yeah, that's where I'm at, man.
Yeah, it's like putting yourself in a position to succeed always.
Always.
Right? It's like no matter what your struggles are, you're always trying to put yourself in a position to be just a little bit better that day.
Just a little bit better.
Yeah.
Small wins, big wins, and acknowledgement. Like acknowledgement.
Yeah.
I think acknowledging who you are, the mistakes that you do, is very important. And I'm not perfect. I am not perfect, Kyle. Like, I am not. But I am passionate. I am a smart worker. Nobody will defeat me. I have that mindset. I have that mindset that I will do whatever it takes to succeed. Whatever it takes. And I think people are misinterpreting what success is.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the struggle there. Success can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. It can be materialistic things. It can be retirement. It can be financial freedom. For me personally, is two major factors that will allow me to flourish. Number one, success is having a good sleep at night. Not worrying about any problems that are coming my way. Number two is satisfaction. Being satisfied with what I do. Those two, money will come, freedom will come, financial freedom will come, friends will come, everything will come.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And it, again, just speaks so deeply to the whole struggle is your success. Because in order to have those things, right, in order to not have things affect your mind, you first have to have those things affect your mind so that you can learn how to cope with that and how to, turn that brain off at night and how to not worry about what's coming tomorrow. That comes from the struggle of once experiencing that first.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming here last night, I was worried. And I had a struggle at home. And I had also a heated argument. And I wanted to cancel. I wanted to cancel. I was like, you know what? I can reschedule. But I woke up, I was like, why? Why am I doing this to myself? So sometimes you have to make decisions to flourish. And keep going no matter what.
Yep.
When the problem faces you, you faces it when the problem comes. And I think with the youth, they're in their head. As adults, we're in our head. So that overthinking, we're in our head.
Yeah. It's so true. And like I feel like you're speaking right to me, right?
Yeah.
But that's because we all feel that, like we all struggle with this, just like you said. And I think that speaks so much to the importance of what you said before, where you being vulnerable for these youth, you being vulnerable for all these people who are listening and who are watching you and who see you as a mentor. It's so valuable for them to hear that, you know, even this person that I look up to and I admire struggles with these same things, right? It is valuable because then you realize that it's like something's not wrong with me because I made these choices in life, or because this happened to me, or this person treated me this way. You realize it's not actually a reflection on you necessarily, but it's just kind of part of life that we're gonna go through this shit.
Yeah, we're gonna go through go through this shit, this crap.
Mm-hmm.
Life is not perfect. I was at Mount Royal a couple of weeks ago, and I met one of the youth and I asked him, I was like, "What's your value?" He's like, "I'm a perfectionist." I was like, "Oh wow, good for you." And then he's like, "You said it with a very strong word, good for me." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Yeah, because I want to challenge you." Right? And I was like, "Why are you perfect?" He's like, I want everything to be perfect." "What are you studying?" He's like, "Engineering." And I'm like, "Did you know that engineers never get things right?" That's why it's called engineering.
Yep.
So you can't be a perfectionist when you're assembling things. Mm-hmm. If you're a chemical engineer or you're a mechanical engineer, everything goes your way.
Yeah.
Everything goes your way. And it's hard to be a perfectionist. It's really hard.
Oh, yeah.
So when someone tells me I'm a perfectionist, I'm like, you're not going to struggle. I think you're going to struggle for a very long time until you realize that life is hard. Mm-hmm. And life is driven by God. So I'm a spiritual guy. Right? So that's yeah. God is controlling this. Right? So yeah, I think that's where we're at.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. And I think there's just so much good in everything that you're saying. There's so much power in everything that you're saying.
Man.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit? I want to touch on some of the programs and stuff that you guys are running, and more specifically, like, first, what are some of the struggles that you're seeing, the biggest things that you're seeing that people are coming in, and maybe you mentioned kind of roadblocks earlier.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest roadblocks when people first enter a program with you guys?
3 things. Building self-confidence, don't want to be in front of people, and don't want to network. And those are the 3 main struggles that the youth face. But then they're also depressed, they have anxiety, and they have problems. So the problems are like, I don't want to work. I don't want to go to school. But I want to make money. But then, okay, they're like, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be an artist. So they have so many choices and they're just lost. Right? And then the pressure is coming from society. The pressure is also coming from the household, right? From their families. And I totally get it. I want my son to be a doctor. I want my son to be an engineer. I want my son to finish school. This program is not about starting a business. This program is using the entrepreneurial lens to think as an entrepreneur so you can understand what your values are, what your dreams are, and what do you want to do for the rest of your life. So those are the 3 main things. Self-confidence, building self-confidence, don't want to network, and don't want to stand in front of people. This program gives them the ability to tackle these struggles in 5 weeks, in 5 sessions, in 1 hour each session. So the program is called Dream It, Plan It, Build It. Dream, Plan, Build. Very concise, very straightforward. What's the dream? What's the plan? How you're going to build? That's it. Your dream going to be a doctor? Cool. What's the plan? And how are you going to build yourself to become a doctor? Mm-hmm. Oh, I want to start a business in the film industry or in build a basketball camp. Sure. What's the dream? What's the plan? How are you going to build? But those dreams are tied to realistic dreams, right? That can be sustainable. Those plans are tied to their values. Who are you and why? And then how to build is all about networking and for them to get out in society and start pitching. In the last session, so I went to Harvard and took a innovation design thinking course. And in that course, we had to build the spaghetti challenge. So build a tower with marshmallows and build the highest tower that we can think of, like around 30 minutes, under 30 minutes. That was a huge failure. And we had to accept that. So the professor taught us like how to accept and how to build that tower to be, and we had to keep building that tower. I took the exact same model and revamped it and said to the youth, build the highest tower that you can think of. Imagine the Trump Tower, or imagine the Evil Tower, or imagine the Bow Tower here in Calgary. Right? Imagine that's your tower. Mm-hmm. You built it. How are you going to build that tower for it to be sustainable? So they have to build the highest tower that they can think of under 2 minutes. And man, they want to walk out of the program. Mm-hmm. They want to leave the program. They don't want to talk to me. They started throwing F-bombs. Screw you. Get out of here. This is too hard. And I'm like, cool. When you leave the program, you're not gonna graduate the program. But when you apply at Western University for med school and you get that rejection letter, don't call me. They're like, he's right. And I'm like, okay, struggle is your success. Mm-hmm. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when you get that rejection letter? So yeah, that's the program.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's taking those foundational pieces, right? It really sounds like it's focused on the foundation, yep. Right? Because being an entrepreneur or a business owner or just living your life, whatever that looks like for that particular person, it all is on top of that foundation, right? And it sounds like the things like values, what are your belief systems? Like how are you going to learn how to plan things and like actually execute on things? Those are the skills that they can then take and do anything with, right? Yeah. Which is super powerful. You mentioned something else that triggered something in my mind. Have you seen the movie Coach Carter? Yeah.
Oh, man.
So,
Samuel L. Jackson. This guy. Yeah. Yes, Coach Carter.
Yeah, I love that movie. And there's a scene in that movie. It gives me chills every single time I hear it. But it's when the one student stands up, and he's the one he's never interested in doing anything and stuff. And he stands up and he says, paraphrasing, I'm probably going to butcher it here, but he says something to the degree of, our greatest fear is not that we were incapable. Our greatest fear is that we're capable beyond measure. Yep. And that really rung through when you were talking about these, they have so many ideas. You have so many options. And actually, I think that we sometimes recognize how many strengths that we actually do have. And that can be very intimidating because you're like, I've got all these options. I've got all these ideas and things that I want to do or that I could possibly do. Like you said, you get bogged down, you get lost in it. Mm-hmm. Right?
That movie, Samuel L. Jackson and the Student, is a powerful scene because he goes back to Coach Carter and tells him, I'm going to make the basketball team and I will do whatever it takes. And then the coach tells him and gives him a task that's impossible to do, which is about 2,000 push-ups, I think over 3,000 suicides.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but something crazy. The student says, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And what happens is, when he does it, his team says, because he's sweating and he's doing these push-ups, they're like, I'll do for him.
Yeah.
I'll support him.
Yeah.
That's the consistency that we're looking for in society.
Yeah.
And I think these youth are missing that consistency.
Yeah.
Right?
And also that level of support has probably not been there for them, right, in their lives for a lot of these youth, right? They're coming from situations of probably, like, not to make overgeneralizations, but probably like some neglect and, you know, just a lot of those kind of adverse experiences throughout their childhood that lead to some of these pathways, right?
Yeah, like you're absolutely right. Again, these youth, I think they're in their head, but they're very creative. They're very, very creative, and they have the ability to succeed. I think. I don't think the problems are the youth.
No.
I think the parents need to acknowledge what the youth are going through.
Yeah.
And the mentors and the teachers need to understand what the youth are going through.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think the problem is the youth. I think the problem is the resources.
I agree. Yeah. And the systems, right? Like,
and the systems.
The systems that are trying to... I think there's a lot of good systems that are trying to help, but like you said, they don't understand it. There's misinformation on where the issue is actually rooted in. Like you talked about kind of generational trauma through your family. Like, I look at even in my life and I recognize the privilege that I have of being somebody who, you know, I was born a white male. You know, I had good parents that were supportive throughout my entire childhood and stuff. But there is generational trauma that has gone on. The more you learn about, like, oh, like my grandparents and their experiences, like, there's trauma there. There's like a lot of shit there. And when you see that, like, maybe they didn't deal with that, and then maybe like my parents didn't know how to deal with that either, and now, like, I look at that to myself, being that we have more information around this stuff now, it's like now I have the responsibility to do something about it so that doesn't continue, right? And I think that our youth nowadays are becoming aware of that as well, because there's more information around it.
Yeah, the youth are also aware of it, but they're also very innovative because the rise of tech. Right, they're always on their cell phones. They're always on TikTok. They're always on Instagram. They know what's happening, right? So I understand when the youth says, "I want an iPad." I understand when the youth says, "I want a cell phone." I really do understand when the youth says, "I want some Jordans and I want some Nikes." I get it, because that's what's happening.
Yeah.
In society, his peers, but then there's no acknowledgement. So I think acknowledgement is the biggest piece. And within our organization, we had the privilege to serve and honor 250 BIPOC youth who have graduated from the program. I think this year we're going to hit about 300.
Nice.
And the momentum is still going.
Yeah.
Youth entrepreneurship is not taught in our city. And I think you were a graduate, right? Sorry, not a graduate, a judge. Sorry.
Yeah, I was able to go and kind of witness one of your graduations and be on the panel for it. It was incredible.
So you've seen what these youth are now. Those youth today that graduated from the program when you were a judge, they created our SIYS brand video, right? And they're starting their businesses. They're going from sole proprietorships to corporations.
Yeah.
And the parents are like, "Oh my God," like they're not trapped in their room. Like I had a parent tell me, she asked her son, "Where are you going?" "Oh, I'm going to a networking event. I got five networking events all this week. I'm busy, Mom." Versus, he was in his room doing video games.
Yeah.
And the parent tells me, like, my son is 19 years old, wearing suits all day, from this event to this event. Like, Moose, what have you done? I was like, I have not done anything. Yeah. They're in their head.
Yeah. Now mom and dad are feeling insecure. They're like, now mom and dad need to step it up.
Yeah. Mom and dad want to step it up, and they want to, have their calendars full and start networking. And it is true that your network is your net worth over time. Not 5 years, not 10 years. Over the course of 20 years of your lifetime, your network is your net worth. And there's conversions there.
Yeah.
So,
going back to Coach Carter for a second, that scene that you described where they're running the lines and stuff, and the teammates step up. They're like, he's not going to make it. I'll do 100 lines for him. I'll do this many. That I kind of saw that when I was at that graduation event, because we were kind of helping guide them, but like we're kind of drawing connections with them, and they were starting to recognize that like one person was had video skills.
Yep.
Right? They wanted to be a videographer. And another person was, I can't remember the exact situation, but I remember them kind of starting to make those connections of like, oh shit, like we actually have each other. Like you can help me with the video and I can help you with this. And they were starting to draw those connections, which in terms of youth who are coming from neglectful situations and that type of thing, like how powerful is that to just know that like I got people who got me. They want to see me succeed.
Oh yeah.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want to succeed.
And see each other succeed.
And
right?
see each other to succeed through their own dreams, their own talents, their own of life. I'm just a connector. That's it.
Yeah.
I didn't build their dreams. I didn't use their talents. I just brought a program and told them to attend.
Do you find a lot of them come in and they want to be told like, no, just tell me exactly what to do and I'll do it, like kind of thing? Or
I had actually this past graduate, I had one kid who was like, he was bored and he was, putting his hand on his cheek a little bit, and then he raised it. He's like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it from home.
Yeah. And
then he didn't show up the next session, and then I called him up. I was like, let's meet for coffee. So we went for coffee, and I was like, what's wrong? He's like, I just want to do things on my own. I don't think your program is going to help me. And then I was like, okay, tell me a little bit about your history. So then he started to open up. And for the longest time, he missed school. For the longest time, didn't like to attend, and it was very socially isolated and all that kind. And he didn't see value in people. Until I told him, I was like, "Come, I'll make worthwhile for you." And he's like, he asked me, he's like, "Why should I trust you?" I was like, you don't have to trust me. You have to trust that there's an opportunity here and it's going to be worthwhile for yourself. And he's like, what if it's not worthwhile? So he started challenging me and all that kind of stuff. He graduated from the program. He started his business. And I think on the same day of graduation, he made some deals. And he was jumped, and he had some gifts, and he's going to the stamps game, and just out of nowhere, he came and gave me a hug. Out of nowhere. And he said, you really changed my life. And I'm like, I didn't change your life, man. You changed yours. You're in your head. You think about staying at home and doing things on your own and reading this sheet is going to get you somewhere. But no, it's not. You have to challenge yourself. You have to finish the program. You have to network. You have to see the value in you. It's all about you. It's not about me. It's all about you. So yeah, I've seen that youth was like, I don't want to be here. I don't think I fit here.
Yeah.
But most of our youth who come, they come through a selection process. So when I meet with them on a one-on-one session, they have to give me a dream, they have to give me a talent, or they have to tell me how they waste their time. So I can use something that I can work with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, I love that. It's like that thing about trust too, right? It's like that, like, I really felt that when he said to you, why should I trust you? Right? It's like, yeah, you should. You should. I'm not asking you to trust me.
Yeah, you should.
Like, just trust in yourself. Like, trust in the fact that you can take a chance on something here. And even if it doesn't go exactly how you expected, that you're trusting in yourself that you have what it takes to make something of it.
Yep.
Right? Whew, that's powerful.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
We're creating a sense of belonging. That's it.
Yeah.
Within themselves. That's it.
I have a kind of a off base analogy for you, but I always bring everything back to martial arts. And
my man,
when I'm teaching martial arts, oftentimes now I will go into it and I'll just get them. I just want you guys to start fighting, like just start sparring, just move around, start sparring, because I found that if I go into it and I'm like, this is what we're working on today, then I'm missing the mark with them. But if I can just observe them for 5 to 10 minutes and try and figure out, like, where are the gaps? Where are the things that are not going right now? Where's the consistent thing that we need to improve on as a group? It's like they will show me the way to a good class, to a good lesson, right? And I think a good leader like yourself is able to do that, right? You're able to step back and go, I'm not going to give you a step-by-step thing here based off of like what I know about you now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn about you. I'm going to have empathy for you, and I'm going to help guide you to something you already know. Right?
Yeah, that resonates with me, because your martial arts program is similar to another program who's a leader in our community, TJ.
I just had him on.
Oh, you just
had him on.
So he started. Yeah. This guy is such a genius.
Yeah.
This guy started a program called Gloves Not Guns.
Mm-hmm.
That threw me off the roof.
Me too. When I saw it. Yeah.
It threw me. Hey TJ, if you're watching this,
shout out TJ.
Yeah, shout out TJ. It threw me off the roof because he's so right. Gloves Not Guns. Samuel L. Jackson has a movie scene where, or I think Denzel Washington has a movie scene where, like, holding a gun doesn't make you a man.
Yeah.
Holding a gun doesn't make you a man. So I'm tying to what you're saying to your martial arts. The learning curve in martial arts, in boxing, in gymnastics is very challenging. In the Olympics, who's that? What's her name? She won the gold medal. She's a.
Yeah, I'm not. I
forgot her name, but yeah. She did gymnastics. She failed in the Olympics 2 years ago, and she went through a mental health crisis. But she's in her Netflix show. I forgot her name, but she said that the challenges and the struggles that people go through is a gateway to success. And understanding the importance of mental health is extremely important. So martial arts is all about mental health. How do you control your mental health? I went in TJ's program and started to do boxing. I was like, this is too much for me. I'm like, I'm too fat for this, you know. So, but TJ challenged me, and TJ challenged me. He's like, you gotta do it. So, again, I'm not perfect. I'm on a weight loss program right now. So, started my journey about a month ago.
Nice, man.
So,
congrats.
Yeah. It's all small wins.
I love it.
Yeah, water. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay, man, I got a question for you that my last guest asked. So my last guest wrote a question. They didn't know who it was going to be. They just wrote a question for my next guest.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask it to you, and then afterwards I'll get you to write a question for my next guest. You up for it?
I'm up for it. Let's do it.
All right. I haven't read it yet either, so let's see. Okay, it's good. If you could change one thing in the world, what would it be and why?
Whew.
It's a big one.
My goodness, bro.
If you could change one thing in the world, what would it be and why?
Can I think?
Yeah, man. Of course you can.
This is really hard.
It's a big question.
If there's one thing in the world that I can change, what would it be? What would it be?
Remember, there's no perfect answer.
There's no perfect. There's no perfect answer. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I can get help from the audience, but this is.
Well, with that being said, like I'd love to hear from people too, like what their answer to that question would be as well.
If you had one thing in the world to change, what it would be? I got one.
All right.
I got one. This is going to be systems. I would love to change systems. How the systems are built in this world. We're following a system. I want to break a system. Because the system is putting us into poverty, putting us into a one-way mindset. It's putting us in in a one-way mindset, putting us in this box. And I say systems because I remember the words of Steve Jobs. Before he died, when he was diagnosed with cancer, he said, when you're connecting the dots, don't connect the dots forward. Connect the dots backwards. And then also connecting the 9 dots. And also think outside of this box. Think outside of the box. And I think these systems is a box that we're trapped in and we can't get out. And we can't innovate. So yeah, that's what I want to. What it would be systems.
Yeah.
How am I going to do it? Do I have the power to do it? No. How am I going to do it? I know exactly what I need to do to break those systems. And the answer to that is 1, break capitalism. 2, an equal, diverse economy. 3, man, I don't know. I don't even know. Strategizing innovation.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say too, Moose. Like, I think you're doing it. Like when you look at what you're doing for the next generation.
Yeah.
Like it does. Like it. I always have to kind of pull myself back a bit because a question like that, it's a very big question as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if I had all this power, but if we think about like the power that we do have, like you're doing it, man. Like you are changing that next generation. You're helping kind of transform the mindsets that create those systems in the future, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think so. I didn't see that.
Yeah, man.
I think it's again, back to the small wins.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe I was thinking too big.
No, I liked it though. I liked it.
Yeah.
And that question could go anywhere really, but yeah, when you were talking about that, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, man, like you're doing it, I'm doing it.
How would you answer that question?
Oh, I was trying to think. Well, you were thinking as well. How would I change the world If I could change the world,
with one
how would I
thing.
change it with one thing and why? You know, I think I'll go like kind of smaller than what you went in terms of systems, but I think it's just like I would want to give everybody just a lot more self-awareness. Right? Just a lot more self-awareness about just everything. Like things you described in this episode even, where just awareness of my situation, awareness of my privilege, awareness of my struggles, awareness of my responsibilities, my ownership.
That's huge.
Right? Think about our world leaders right now. Quotations,
yes.
right? Imagine if some of those leaders had just so much more self-awareness, how much more empathy they would have, how much more consideration they might have. Just all of those things. I think self-awareness would be really big.
I think you're absolutely right. I think there's not enough self-awareness in society. There isn't. We're not self-aware what's not happening around us. What's happening to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of ego. There's a lot of privilege. There's a lot of capitalism and gaining and that ties all back to values. I'm not a psychologist. Some people say there's good ego and bad ego. I have no idea. I just want to live life, my man, and support the youth, and that's where I'm at.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, is there anything that we haven't touched on that you really wanted to get off your chest here?
No, I think for me, for the viewers who are listening, besides the work that I also do with youth, I also run an AI firm.
Yeah.
I'm in the tech space, so that's going to be my new focus in the next couple of years. So the rise of artificial intelligence, and our goal is to build an app to teach youth artificial intelligence.
Love it.
And it's going to be a leverage into SIYS as a secondary program eventually. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Other than that, I'm a diehard Boston fan.
Nice.
Boston Celtics. I'm a diehard NFL fan. New York Giants. And for hockey, I love the Rangers. Even though I love Calgary.
Love those Flames.
I love those Flames, but I don't know, man. Calgary's my city, but I don't know.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm so grateful for having
Thank
you on.
you so much. Yeah.
I'm really grateful for this conversation. I truly always feel blessed to be able to sit down with people like yourself and just have some really good, fun, and impactful conversations.
That's how it is, bro.
I thank you for being
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And thanks to everybody for listening and watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.